What if I told you that just 2 words have been shaping your entire reality without you even realizing it? 2 words so powerful that they influence your thoughts, your actions, and even your destiny. Today, we're exploring what might be the most powerful phrase in human language, one that's programming your brain right now as you listen. If you've ever wondered why some people manifest success while others remain stuck, the answer might be hidden in these 2 transformative words. What if the most profound wisdom across civilizations could be traced back to just 2 simple words? Throughout history, across diverse cultures and spiritual traditions, 2 words have held a special power to shape reality and transform human experience. These 2 words appear in our most sacred texts, yet their transformative potential often remains hidden in plain sight. One of the most striking examples when we explore ancient wisdom traditions comes from the Bible. In Exodus 3:14, when Moses asks God for his name, the response is profound. I am who I am. This declaration wasn't merely a statement of identity. It represented the very essence of creation itself. In that moment, God wasn't just naming himself. He was demonstrating the fundamental power of self-declaration to shape reality. This concept of speaking reality into existence through the words I am extends far beyond biblical tradition. What's fascinating is how this understanding appears across multiple civilizations, suggesting a universal recognition of these words' significance. From Eastern spiritual practices to indigenous wisdom traditions, the careful and intentional use of self-declaration has been recognized as a pathway to transformation. The power of these words becomes even more evident when we look at how historical figures have consciously used I am statements to reshape their circumstances and destinies. Leaders and visionaries throughout history have understood that declaring their identity and purpose wasn't just descriptive, it was creative. Teachers like Louise Hay emphasized this transformative power, showing how self-declaration could be used as a tool for personal reinvention and manifestation. Consider for a moment the difference between saying, I hope to become successful versus I am successful. The first places success in an uncertain future, while the second brings it into present reality. This distinction wasn't lost on those who shaped history. They understood that speaking in the present tense through I am statements was a way of aligning themselves with their desired reality. What makes these 2 words so powerful is their direct connection to our sense of identity. When you declare, I am, you're not just describing a temporary condition, you're making a statement about your essential nature. This is why, across time and cultures, spiritual teachers have cautioned people to be impeccable with their words, especially those that follow I am. The pattern of transformation through self-declaration appears repeatedly throughout history. Ancient texts from various traditions recognize words as tools to influence destiny and shape the world. Whether in meditation practices, prayer traditions, or ceremonial rituals, the careful use of language, particularly self-talk language, has been treated as sacred. The words I am have been recognized as reality creators since the beginning of recorded history. They represent perhaps the most direct way humans have found to participate in the creative process of shaping their lives and the world around them. When we understand the historical significance of these words, we begin to see that they aren't just linguistic constructs, but doorways to transformation. Those doorways to transformation aren't just metaphorical, they're biological. Your brain treats I am statements as commands rather than suggestions, physically altering neural pathways each time you speak these words. What most people don't realize is that this biological transformation happens whether you're consciously aware of it or not. Every time you make a declaration about yourself, your brain is listening and responding. This isn't just positive thinking philosophy, it's neuroscience. Your brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections is called neuroplasticity, and it's the biological foundation for how your self-talk shapes your reality. Think about what happens when you repeatedly tell yourself, "I am not good enough." Your brain doesn't analyze this statement for accuracy or question its validity. Instead, it begins constructing physical pathways that support this belief. The more you repeat these negative statements, the stronger these neural connections become, eventually creating automatic thought patterns that operate below your conscious awareness. The opposite is equally true. When you consistently declare positive truths about yourself, your brain builds and strengthens neural pathways that support these empowering beliefs. This is where the real magic happens, not just in changing your thoughts, but in literally rewiring your brain. What makes this process so powerful is that your brain processes "I am" statements as direct commands rather than mere suggestions. When you say, "I am confident," your brain doesn't hear this as a hopeful aspiration. It receives it as an instruction to create the neurological architecture of confidence. This is why the words that follow "I am" carry such transformative potential. Research indicates that consistent practice of positive "I am" statements leads to the formation of new neural pathways, effectively reshaping your brain structure and influencing your experienced reality. These aren't just momentary changes in mood, but actual physical alterations in how your brain processes information and responds to the world around you. The work of researchers in this field reveals something even more fascinating. The emotional vibrations associated with our words have a more significant impact on reality than rational thought alone. This means that when you make "I am" declarations, the genuine emotions you feel as you speak them amplify their effect on your neural pathways. It's not just about repeating phrases, it's about feeling them as true. How long does this rewiring process take? Neuroscientific studies indicate that it takes approximately 21 to 66 days of consistent practice to form new neural pathways through repeated self-talk. The exact time depends on the complexity of the behavior being changed and how deeply ingrained your existing patterns are. What's particularly striking is how differently our brains operate when we consistently practice positive versus negative self-talk. People who regularly engage in positive self-declaration show increased activity in brain regions associated with resilience, creativity, and solution-focused thinking. Meanwhile, those caught in patterns of negative self-talk show heightened activity in areas linked to stress, anxiety, and threat detection. Most of us go through our days unaware of how frequently we make "I am" affirmations, and how these statements are continuously programming our neurological responses. The unconscious nature of this process means many people are unknowingly reinforcing neural pathways that create suffering and limitation, rather than growth and possibility. Those seemingly innocent words you heard as a child have shaped more of your adult life than you might realize. Think about it. The most profound programming of your mind didn't happen during self-help seminars or therapy sessions. It happened when you were 5 years old, being told who you were by the adults around you. Those early "I am" statements weren't chosen by us, yet they've silently directed the course of our lives for decades. Children are extraordinarily receptive to the messages they receive. Their developing minds absorb information without the critical filters we develop later in life. When a young child hears, "You're too shy," or "You never finish anything," these statements don't just bounce off, they sink deep into the foundation of that child's identity. These external observations gradually transform into internal "I am" declarations that operate beneath conscious awareness. What makes this childhood programming so powerful is that it comes from trusted sources, parents, teachers, and other authority figures whose words carry tremendous weight. A casual comment like, "Math just isn't your strong suit," can transform into an ironclad "I am not good at numbers" belief that limits career choices decades later. The child doesn't question these assessments, they accept them as fundamental truths about themselves. The beliefs we absorb in childhood often resurface in adulthood as patterns of self-sabotage that don't always make sense at first glance. Take someone who constantly gives up on projects just before finishing them. On the surface, it might look like procrastination or a lack of discipline, but deep down, this behavior could be driven by an old belief planted years ago that says, "I never finish anything." Without realizing it, they're simply living out the identity they were conditioned to accept as a child. Identifying these hidden "I am" statements requires a special kind of awareness. You need to become a detective of your own subconscious programming. Pay attention to recurring negative thoughts, especially those that feel absolute and unquestionable. Phrases like, "I'm just not creative," or "I always mess up relationships," often have roots stretching back to childhood experiences. These limiting beliefs often cluster around common themes. Many adults carry messages about their intelligence. "I'm not smart enough," their worthiness, "I don't deserve success," their capabilities, "I can't handle responsibility," or their fundamental acceptability. "There's something wrong with me." Each of these core beliefs was likely installed during those formative years when your sense of self was still under construction. The recognition of these inherited phrases marks the beginning of your freedom from them. Once you understand that many of your most limiting "I am" beliefs weren't consciously chosen, but inherited from external sources, you gain the power to question them. You can examine the evidence, challenge their validity, and consciously replace them with statements that reflect who you truly are and who you wish to become. From the sacred declarations of ancient texts to the neural pathways being carved in your brain right now, the words "I am" hold a power that transcends time and science. These two simple words are not just a reflection of who you are, they are the architects of who you will become. History shows us that those who harness this phrase shape their destinies, while neuroscience reveals that every "I am" you speak is a command your brain obeys, rewiring your reality with each repetition. The most important thing to remember here is that the limiting beliefs you inherited as a child, those unchosen "I am" statements, can be rewritten once you claim the authority to redefine yourself. So, here's your invitation for change. Start today. Pay attention to the "I am" declarations slipping from your lips, spoken aloud or whispered in your mind. Replace the ones that diminish you with ones that empower you. Say, "I am capable, I am worthy, I am enough," and mean it. This isn't wistful thinking. It's a deliberate act of creation, backed by the wisdom of ages and the evidence of science. The question isn't whether these words can change your life. It's what you'll choose to build with them. What "I am" will you speak into existence today?